Hello, everyone. I am Lyndon Wilson. I am the creator of The Difference Radio live stream and podcast, where our objective has been and still continues to be looking out for the small business owner, the entrepreneur, the independent contractors in our communities and how hard they work to serve those communities. What we want to be able to do is bring them in front of you and give them more visibility, help you understand why they do what they do and how passionate they are about serving the community. We were fortunate enough to be introduced to today's host, Jordan Espeseth. He actually was on one of our original shows back when we were in the radio studio. And we got to talking and Jordan, the business that he has, the Real Producers, the magazines, the events, everything like that. We got to talking. We just thought, man, you've got to bring what you're doing out in front of the audience. And we were fortunate enough last year, in our first year, to have over 600,000 viewers. I say that and very proudly, even though most celebrities get 600,000 viewers on a 5-minute video each day. But you got to start somewhere. So having said that, I want to go ahead and introduce Jordan now because it's his show. I'm just the guy driving the bus sometimes. What's going on, my man?
Hey, Lennon, you're a celebrity in my book, man.
Not yet. I don't want to be a celebrity. I don't. I have no interest in that whatsoever. I have a passion for entrepreneurs. I have a passion for small business owners. I've been around the real estate industry for 20 years. People don't understand how it looks so glamorous from the outside, and it is a chore, buddy, but it's well worth it. And, you shared your story before about the pain and pleasure aspect and I'm fascinated. And that's why I created The Difference. I'm fascinated to hear the stories about each and every entrepreneur that comes on. We had over 500 guests last year, and everyone's got their own unique story. They got their unique story about why they got into it, what fuels their passion, what burns their passion, the mentors in their life and the impacts that they had. And I have the greatest job in the world because I get to hear these stories every day. And I've often said, everybody has a book inside of them. We don't realize it sometimes, but everybody has this unique story. And there's so many people out there that would love to hear it. And, before I give way to you, I just want to say that, I've had so many businesses come up to me watching our shows and hearing other people's stories. And they're going, man, do you know, I was just 10 seconds away from giving up, from just throwing the towel in. And I heard that story and it inspired me to push one more day. And it only took me one more day and everything broke free for me. So that's what we're here for. And you guys, man, what y'all are doing with Real Producers, it's a fun ride for me to be able to watch that. So kudos to all of y'all, you, Lance, and Rochelle.
Yeah, thanks, man. Well, it's been fun and just super grateful for all the agents and partners that we work with, especially, these ones that we have on today. I cannot wait to introduce them. And speaking of pain or pleasure, man, that intro that we just had, paired the music you had on the countdown with the intro, that gave me some pleasure right there. That was sweet, man. We changed it up a little bit. I like that.
A little bit. Yeah. Every time we try to get a little better.
Yeah. It's great, man. Well, well done. Well done.
Well, tell everybody that's watching that hasn't seen, the DFW's Real Estate's Best and Real Producer show before. Tell everybody a little bit about what Real Producers is all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't know, Real Producers is really, we're a platform that creates a community around the highest producing real estate agents in the market and the most highly referred and recommended businesses that work with these top producing agents. And we have we have 3 Real Producers here in DFW. I own those 3. We have North DFW Real Producers for the top 500 agents north of 635, Collin County, Denton County. We have Dallas Real Producers for the top 500 agents based in the heart of Dallas and Rockwall. And now, 3 months ago, we launched Tarrant Real Producers for the top 500 producing agents in Tarrant County. So between the 3 markets, we have the top 1,500 producing agents in the market based off of the MLS production. And there's roughly 60,000 licensed agents here in the market. So we're really talking about the top, 1-2% of real estate agents that operate in this market. and we build that platform around them and create a community around them. We have a monthly publication that we share their stories and their successes. And one thing I love about Real Producers, and it's also the aspect we take this show, is we love to humanize these agents and businesses that we work with, and that we, when we share their stories, it's not a brag book for these agents. We're not putting them on a pedestal and talking about how amazing they are and how, it's really about, hey, you're the best at what you do in your business. And we share your story. Let's talk about how you got there, the trials, the tribulations, the struggles, the successes, the beautiful and the bad along the way. And, it's a relationship building platform that we have at Real Producers. And I just love that, we take that approach and we get to see these agents and businesses in a different light than, just seeing them as a number and someone that does a lot of business. Right. So,
yeah. If you don't mind me jumping in real quick, because I think that's very important to highlight, is that what we're finding and really what we're hoping to do is to help the people in the communities that these guys are serving and ladies are serving, and let them realize that, it's not this plumber that drives down the road with a plumber's truck. He's got kids in Little League. He's got, he's doing things in the community just like we are. He's got the same thing, the same desires that we do. He's just a neighbor, and that he just happens to have his own business. And so, by doing that, you and that, we want to help drive business to those people, because I think when people realize that, hey, he's just a regular guy, or she's just a regular lady, and she does the PTA, or the soccer, whatever it is, they're just like us. They just happen to have a different career path, and they're there to help grow the neighborhood just like we all want it to be.
Exactly. Yeah. And people, not to be cliche, but people like to work with people they know, like, and trust. And, you don't get to do that unless you get to know these people. And exactly. I love to point out too, with Real Producers, again, all of our businesses that we work with, they are some of the absolute best in the business. And they come recommended. We don't work with businesses that don't come recommended to us first by the highest producing agents in the market. And so, the community is really around best producing agents, best businesses in the market. And we also do events on a regular basis. I know people love our events. We just had some last week and got more coming up soon. And so, and I'm so excited for the growth that we've had with Real Producers. And we just added on an amazing new partner that's going to be on our show today. And one of my good buddies who's a top producing real estate agent that's just been doing absolutely amazing. And so I think it's time we bring him on, Lyndon.
Let's do it.
So I want to, let's start with, let's start with our newest partner, man. I love these two guys. We've been trying for the last 3 years. We've been connecting. And they've we finally partnered together, and they're with one of the most respected companies in the entire Metroplex, one of the most highly recommended companies in the entire Metroplex, and that is Shaun, Neidigh, and Ken Callahan, and they're with Republic Title. So, guys, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, super excited, man.
Finally.
We made it, man. We are finally here, and I can't wait to dive in with you guys and hear more about the things that have been going on in your guys' world and Republic. And I know you guys have had some crazy growth, and so I'm super excited to hear more about that and let everybody else kind of hear what's going on in your guys' world. And on top of that, you work with one of my favorite people, and he's such an incredible agent. And so the next person I want to bring on is someone that I met early when I moved on here. I probably met them the same time I met him the same time I met you guys, actually. And he's been a good buddy of mine. We go golfing together. We're both equally as bad at golf, and but he's just been doing absolutely amazing. We featured him as a Rising Star feature. I believe it was last year. So good buddy, awesome agent. And that is Mr. Travis Hitt with Rogers Healy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
What's going on, Travis, man? Thanks for joining us.
And I appreciate you being nice, but I am definitely worse than you at golf.
But you might be better than Jansen, though. I
might agree with you on that, but he's not here to talk for himself.
That is true. Well, guys, thanks for hopping on this show. I'm really excited to have you guys on. I love working with people that I know, like, and trust, and just enjoy being around. And that's definitely you guys. And so, man, why don't you guys first start? Shaun, Ken, you guys tell us a little bit how you and Travis, how you guys got all connected, when you guys met, and how that relationship started.
Well, you want to take it?
Well, I'll start. So I came to work for Republic Title about 3 years ago, and Travis was a loyal client of ours, closes with Drew Brummett, one of our great escrow officers. And, Travis is so unique, in my opinion. He makes you feel like you're the most important person when you're in front of him. So that's just a great quality that he has. So I came into this, he was already a client, and over the last 3 years, we've just gotten to know each other better on a more personal level. He had the opportunity to rep the guy that was the best man at my wedding 27 years ago. They just moved to town from Kansas City. Travis had the opportunity to work with them. So I actually went out with Travis on showings for a few days and really got to see him in action, which was kind of amazing. I'm a licensed agent myself. I was licensed in 2004. I still keep it current. And I told him one day I realized how bad I was as an agent when I see him doing his thing. So that's kind of how we got to know each other.
Yeah, that's amazing. And Travis, just to kind of segue into that, you haven't been a realtor for a very long time. Are you on year 4 or 5?
No, going on 10 now.
Going on 10. Oh yeah, you've just kind of recently kind of just started to make a name for yourself, though.
I did my first few years were in investments before I switched over to regular residential.
Yeah. And you've been doing absolutely incredible, man. I was actually just looking, and because you made a huge jump. This last year was like your best year for sure, right?
Yeah, 2020 was my best year.
Yeah, because I think you jumped. I don't know I can't remember what you were on our list of the top 500 last year, but I believe this year, man, you're like you're in our top 100 for sure. I can't remember what it was, but absolutely just crushing it. And so, tell everyone a little bit. I guess quickly, Travis, tell everyone a little bit about you and your journey to where you're at right now. Give us that 30,000-foot view of that.
Yeah, so I got my real estate license just for 2012, and I started in investment real estate, which was a grind and a hustle. Looking back at it, it was probably a huge blessing that I did that initially, just because it allowed me to wear so many hats at one time and work with so many different people. I learned truly what the word service was. And service isn't direct to one person, but it's a lot of behind the scenes action to create the best service for a client. So then I switched from that, realizing that I wanted to work direct with homeowners, buyers and sellers. So I switched to regular residential a couple years after that. And I've been working for my current company now for about 5 years. I was with one brokerage before that. And I love what I'm doing. I'm here locally. I grew up in the area. I decided to move back to the area. And I just love working with everybody that I grew up with, their families, and then all the new people we have relocating here, just like Ken's best friend. That was an amazing experience and humbling experience for somebody of Ken's stature to refer me to one of his best friends. And Ken, I'm sure you're an amazing realtor. You just had the big maps back then, so it wasn't as fast getting to places.
Yeah, you do have the benefit of technology today.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
I was so surprised with an iPad.
Right. I was like, what? Yeah.
But just progressively getting better and better every single day. I wake up and I love what I do because it truly, yes, it's sales, but it's truly a relationship building business. And for me, that's just fun. I love meeting people. I love working and hustling. So every year seems to be a little bit better, and I'm very grateful and appreciative for that.
So you've been working with Drew and Republic for a while. Why is that? What do you love about those guys over there at Republic?
Yes, obviously, I think a lot of realtors know once you start doing X amount of business, your inbox starts getting blown up from certain people's lenders, title companies, reps, things like that. And I just love Drew's honesty. We met for coffee one day. He was a young gun with Republic Title, kind of just getting started as an escrow officer. And he was just so blatantly honest. He didn't try to church it up, the amount of business he does. He literally told me that he could just help service my business. And so I gave him a shot, and he was phenomenal. I mean, the communication, that's a huge key to me. I don't need things promised to me. I don't need this, that, and the other. I just need good service for myself and clients. And he became a friend. And again, that honesty was big for me. That communication was big for me. And then I started to really find out, as the more business I took on, what resources Republic Title really had and how that helped really keep my business afloat. I mean, there's been so many times I tell people that Drew keeps my business running. And so for somebody that can do that, I kind of wanted to stay with them. And then Ken came on and he walked in with this bow tie. Drew introduced me to him and I said, any guy this size that's wearing a bow tie with his smile, I'm in. He was hilarious. So Ken, kudos to you. You're a phenomenal guy. You've done a great job with Republic. You truly make it fun. To me, title is so boring, but to watch you and Drew laugh with it, have fun with it, make it exciting, that it truly is an aspect of the business that I enjoy.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. The bow tie is a staple piece for Ken. I do love that.
The bow tie has not quite made it out of quarantine yet.
Well, so the current situation with the bow tie is, everybody.
Oh, it's not on. Is it on?
Everybody experienced the COVID 15 or 20. So coming out of the pandemic, my neck had grown a little bit, or my shirt shrunk hanging in the closet.
That's what it was
for the last 6 months.
Yeah,
I think it's probably the latter.
for sure.
So it was kind of hard, restrictive to tie a bow tie. They'll come back. I'm easing into it, but they'll be back soon.
We gotta go Cowboys Fit. I'll see you there, Ken. All right.
I will meet you there. Yeah, I do have an unused membership. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out.
Hey, Shaun, I want to bring you in, man, because I know you recently came over, obviously, to Republic a handful of years ago as well. Talk a little bit about your role, and I love, again, maybe touch on the growth that you guys have had, because again, as I mentioned, as our team meets with these different top producing agents, I mean, I've already told this to you guys, but Republic gets recommended so much. Like 8 top agents love working with you guys. Talk a little bit about, your role over at Republic and maybe a little bit about the growth and what you guys are doing and where you're at.
No, yeah, thank you. My role here at Republic is pretty unique in the fact that I get the pleasure of supporting several of the Collin County branches and supporting those sales people in those branches. So when I came over, everybody knew who Republic was. Building a brand was not really necessary. However, growing the brand was something that I saw tremendous opportunity in, and really got me super excited. So when I met with my boss, Janet Allen, to talk about the opportunities that we still see in Collin County with the expansion of everything moving so quickly, I kind of just vomited, for lack of a better term, all the ideas that I have and what I can see happen and how we can do things. And I think I sat in the boardroom with the executives giving my ideas, and all of them were like this, just clenching. And when is this guy going to stop? And I just haven't since. So it's been about 3 years that I've been with Republic, coming up on my 3 year. Been in the title business for about 8 years. So, for me, title is a byproduct of how it got us into this business, but I truly love just being with people. Right? So any way that I can interact with people, serve people, show them different ways of doing better business and more business, that's really what I kind of shoot for. And with Republic, I mean, we've had the amazing blessing of growing the brand to nearly 40% market share in Collin County. So, I mean, it's just been a tremendous ride so far.
Yeah, that's what were you at when you started 3-ish years ago? What was the market share you guys had in Collin County then? Do you know?
We're probably in the 21 to 25 range, somewhere around there. We opened Prosper right when I first started, and that office has just taken off in the past 2 years. And then the sky's the limit. I mean, in all reality, the support structure, the foundation of this company is so solid. It really has allowed the growth to move quicker than I would have anticipated for most other companies.
Yeah, it has. It's been crazy to see. You guys already had such a strong company, to see it expand and grow, and it has to be because of you, Shaun, right? I mean, obviously you came in and
100%. Yeah, not modest at all.
Not at all.
There's no modesty.
It's a bit of a perfect storm. I mean,
Yeah.
I really enjoyed joining a brand that was so inclusive of its people. I laugh all day long when I was with a different company. The one company that I constantly battled for the number one spot in several areas was Republic. And I will admit where I need to admit that they beat me on a lot of different levels. And so it was just made sense to incorporate my ideas with a brand that's already done so well successfully. Republic's hitting 30 years old this year, and there's no stopping it from what I can see.
Yeah.
So if you can't beat them, join them, right? And that what we
That's
do.
right. Exactly.
So why did Republic have such a strong presence? Like, do you know, like, do you have an answer for what you guys did differently to have such a strong name and continue to?
It's really honestly about the community involvement from when Republic first started and the Kramer family being so involved in the community of Plano. It started in Plano. Really, I think that the roots were there. I mean, you had the president of the company answering phone calls, still does actually to this day. Bill Kramer will answer a phone call from anybody that calls him about any title question. As a matter of fact, Travis.
I think Travis has a story about that.
A story there where he did that.
Charles and Bill, they both have answered.
Yeah, so that's another thing is that our attorneys, along with our founder, they're accessible. They want our clients to call them to figure out what's going on. So like Shaun said, we're 30 years in the business. Our average escrow officer has been with the company, I think, 17 years. So we don't have a lot of turnover. And the company, like we were talking before and in the intro, it's about community. And Republic Title is a great community within itself. And so when you have that great community within yourself, what do you want to do? You want to share that with others. And that's the relationship that we try to extend to all of our clients. They're now part of the community.
The unique thing is I think every company believes that they're the best place to be and best place to work and does most of their employees. When I came over to Republic Title, I mean, even to the level of on your birthday, the president of the company signs a card with all the executives and sends you like a $10 bill. So everybody in the company on their birthday gets a card with a $10 bill with everybody signing a little birthday note. Just simple things like that make a difference. And again, if people love where they work, you're going to get the best out of them when they interact with the people we're trying to work with out in the market. So I think that kind of tells a perfect story as to why we've grown the way we have. Yeah,
I think those small touches go a long way. And one of the questions I was going to ask you, like, because you guys have such great escrow officers, like what makes a standout escrow officer?
Well, I mean, obviously the attention to detail and the people that can really sit down and take a file from A to B. But I personally, and on my 34,000 foot view of looking at things, it's the support structure that's been put into place. So an escrow officer can be an escrow officer. They don't have to also be the HOA person. They don't have to be the curative person. They don't have to be the closing person. They literally can sit down and be the escrow officer to make sure the deal gets from A to B, closed, funded on time, and out the door, and everybody's on their way, where everything else is handled for them on the backside, which a lot of people don't get a chance to see. I mean, Ken's wife heads our HOA department, so he has stories a mile long about how much goes into that process and what it looks like. But I think that's a huge, huge opportunity for other companies. The escrow officer has to wear 100 hats, and to where they get here, they just get to wear their escrow officer hat.
Well, I think too with that is something that Travis touched on, and it's just the blatant honesty. And like he said about Drew, like there's a lot of escrow officers in the industry that don't want to have a difficult conversation. There's a lot of agents in the industry that don't want to have a difficult conversation. So when something comes up, they try to hold off and fix it. And then in the 11th hour, sometimes it has a tendency to explode. Drew, especially, he'll just tell you that we got this, we got to look out for. This came back, we got to look out for this. It's a potential pitfall. That way we're communicating constantly during the transaction. I always say conflict arises when proper expectations are not set. So if you go into any transaction, whether it's a real estate transaction or whether it is a title escrow transaction, you have to set the proper expectations. So, when something comes up, we want to put it on their radar so there are no surprises.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That communication, it's pretty huge. That's never heard that before, though. That's probably the first time you guys heard that. That communication is so important. Yeah.
No, in my opinion of what makes a good escrow officer, and it's not just communication, but it's simply advanced communication, is what I like to call it on the real estate side. Problems are going to arise. Welcome to real estate. But when a escrow officer doesn't just see the file, but he sees the deal, and he's good at keeping the timeline and having advanced communication, everything can be solved. There has never been an issue in this industry in my 10 years that the issue could not have been solved. Doesn't mean they've all been solved, but every issue can be solved as long as you communicate and work together. So Drew has literally saved some of my deals before because of issues that arose that we didn't expect. So I like to say a good escrow officer has advanced communication as well, that he or she can catch things before they arise.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that. And you know, Travis, we talked a little bit about Republic and what's kind of made, you know, because they have such a strong name and company, and what the difference has been for them. I'm curious for you too, because you haven't had that crazy long of a career, but you've made such a huge leap in your business and growing I believe you're adding more and more people to your team and stuff like that. Like what for you, like why would you say, because I don't know, we talk about roughly 60,000 licensed agents in the market. I mean, most agents, they say they make it a year or two before they kind of throw in the towel. Yeah, less than a year and throw in the towel. Like for you, what would you say, what's been that difference thing for you? For why have you had the success that most agents would never even dream of having?
I guess the first word that comes to my mind is resiliency. It's not an easy business. And, you know, I think there's so many shows out now that agents think they get their license, they're going to start making thousands of dollars a month, and they work 3 days a week and drive cool cars. Well, they need to do a realistic show. But you have to be resilient in this business. One, you don't always get, I think in any sales, you don't always get yeses immediately. Sometimes you do, and that's great. But you have to be very resilient and not stopping. And it's also an industry that you kind of have to figure it out. I tell any new agent, if you get into this industry, don't do it the way I do it. Don't do it the way your broker does it. Don't do it the way your friend does it. Figure out how you want to do it. Because if it's not fun, if you don't enjoy it, it's going to drive you into the ground. Mm-hmm. So I think I had really good mentors that I kind of watched, and I saw that they made it a career first off, rather than a job, because it is a long-term thing. You can't think of this industry as a short-term moneymaker deal. It's one of the worst short-term investments I'll tell somebody they could ever make. It has to be thought of as a long-term play, a long-term investment. But I grew up with seeing adversity. I had a dad and a stepdad that did two completely different things on the success scale, and they each had their goods and their bads. So I kind of took a little bit from both of them, and it just drove me. I loved working with people, and I knew I'd get to wake up in this business every single day and work with somebody, work with a different person in helping them. And so that has truly driven me to work through the issues, work through the hard times, and figure it out. I was not the best in the beginning with systems and certain aspects of real estate, even though I closed the deals. But it's definitely been a figure it out business, and I like to figure things out. I like to study. I like to learn. And I just haven't quit. I've never been a quitter in anything I've done, and I've just kind of plowed through it. I tell people dive in and just keep swimming. You're going to hit waves, you're going to hit blocks, but just keep going. And that's kind of driven me, was knowing where I wanted to be. I never look at the day. I look at what I do today is going to be my outcome for 3 months down the road. Perfect example, we recently had our son in November. I took a decent amount of time off, and that was a struggle because I like to work so much. And I saw a gap in my business for a short term, and it proves that what you do today in this industry really affects long-term down the road. So that was interesting to see that I took some time off, and it did affect, a month or so of business, which is fine because I enjoyed the time. But I just wake up and I work, and I think that's the difference between me and possibly some other agents that have hit the adversity challenge and they didn't push through. Is it's not about what you can't control today, but it's about what we can control for long term.
And 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every day, right?
Definitely helps. Caffeine water.
Is that actually a thing? Caffeine water?
It is now, but that's not that.
Oh gosh, Travis, weren't you on one of those shows once upon a time?
I was. My wife and I were.
What was that show again?
It was called Selling Mega Mansions.
So you're a part of the problem, man. You're making it look too easy.
Full disclosure, it was fake. No, the houses were real. The houses that we toured, they were actually for sale, so it was partially real. But I could not afford a $6 million house on the beach.
That's hilarious. I want to kick it. On the flip side, Shaun and Ken, working with agents like Travis compared to the other 60,000 that are out there, do you notice the big difference between top producing professional agents compared to the, agent that is, I guess, short term or, not a top producer? Do you notice a difference between them?
150%, I would say. I don't know Travis really well. We've met a couple different times, but I've studied his business really well because it's my job to know what successful agents are doing and hopefully impart some of those things on new agents that we get to meet and new agents that we see potential in. But I can tell you the amount of times that we sit and meet with agents one-on-one. I personally like to take a more consultative approach when it comes to meeting with agents. We can feed you, we can, do all these other things that title companies have done throughout the years. But if we cannot help you grow your business and become a value to you, then it doesn't really support either relationship. So when we talk about sitting with agents, and I will have those that stare at me, we'll go through a presentation. They want to talk about farming. They want to talk about all these different tools that are out there. And they'll sit and stare at me, taking no notes whatsoever, asking very little questions. And then they will give you a phone call at least 2 days later about, hey, can you send me all the information we talked about before? And then you're going to host a class, and they're going to be there front row sitting there ready to go take that class that you just taught them everything about. And there are those out there. Luckily in Collin County, we kind of call it the Wild Wild West because it is so huge, first of all, and there's so many agents out there that are grinding, and we do get a great opportunity to work with them. But when you talk to somebody like Travis that has a actual business plan and a foundation and takes time to plan out what his business is going to look like the rest of the year, that is a dream person to work with, because all we have to do is support whatever those plans are. I made a speech the other day in front of a bunch of realtors that said, if your business partner does not ask you what your goals are, then get rid of them. Because at any point, I would love to know, Travis, you want to do $300 million at some time in your career, then let's help you get there. Let's figure out what it's going to look like. So understanding what those goals are really important. And if I talk to an agent that's like, I don't really know, then we have to have a different conversation.
Right.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it's big. Travis, we can be able to 10X your business. Is that
Let's do it. Ken, Shaun, y'all want to do it? I'm in. I'm going to hold you to that 300 million.
Yeah.
You're going to need more caffeine and less sleep.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to clear that with my wife.
Yes. But agreeing with what Shaun said, I think when you reach the level that Travis has reached, and yes, he would like to grow even more, I think that's when the top producing agents realize the importance of what we're doing, and that's being a trusted business partner with them. So like Shaun said, I can buy boxes of donuts. I can take you out to lunch. I would rather do that as a celebratory thing after we've had a great year or some good transactions. Anybody can do that. What we want to do, we want to become your trusted business partner. And again, what does that mean? That means whatever you need education-wise, we have a great education department with Republic Title. We have a trainer that will do one-on-ones. She's fabulous. So I think the seasoned agents appreciates that partnership. The newer agents, and having been a new agent, you don't know what you don't know. So, we can try and shepherd them along, but a lot of them just get stuck, or it's maybe fear that gets in their way of actually producing. So it's kind of educating and counseling them to some degree, which I know kind of sounds, I think, strange coming from a business development position. But again, it's about community, and we're part of the community. You are a part of the community. We're taking you in. We're bringing you into our fold. One thing I'll say with Drew, and Drew's great at this, is building the loyalty, which in our industry, and agents and escrow officers, loyalty is what you really need to develop. It gets kind of tricky because there's a lot of agents out there that, there's a shiny object and they will turn to the right or to the left. So it's kind of nice when we get into that groove and get into that relationship.
Everyone kind of wants that quick fix. And I think Travis kind of touched on too, like people get into real estate because they watch HGTV and they see how easy it is, and they drive the nice cars, make all the money, and have the time freedom that you want. And we all know that is 100% not the reality of it. I actually kind of attribute. I think in the network marketing, MLMs are kind of similar in as real estate in that aspect. Like I remember I got into an MLM, and you go to those meetings, and you have the guy that's making $50,000 there a month. And, and he's like, I sit on the beach. I got residual income. I don't need to do anything. And I'm making this money. And all I did is do these meetings. And you're like, wow, he can make that much money. And all he did was just talk to people. This is going to be amazing. Everyone leaves that meeting thinking they're going to be a millionaire, and they're not even going to work. And I mean, I'm guilty right here. Right. And I think that it's kind of, I think that's very similar with real estate. I think the messaging of people getting into it, that's why it's such a low barrier to entry for one. And then the messaging is, look what you can do. Look what you can be. And it's, people just have a false expectation of what work really is when it comes to, I mean, you can have that type of lifestyle, right? I mean, you can make a lot of money in real estate, and you can even have the freedom if you in real estate, if you build your business right. But man, the messaging, I think, is just so skewed.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for Travis, if you don't mind, Jordan. Travis, Shaun and Ken both mentioned your process, and being around the real estate industry for 20 years, I'd like to ask you, how important is your process for having consistency, not only in production, but in revenue? Because I see so many, whether it was mortgage that I was around, whether it was real estate, it's like a roller coaster, right? You're talking about what you do today is going to manifest in 3 months. So you watch this roller coaster of this high production, and then they bottom out, and then it's high production and bottom out, and it's emotionally draining. And what it looks like from my perspective is that those that are having the hardest time with the roller coaster, it's not necessarily the market, it's that they don't have a repeatable process. So if you don't mind, talk about that, because I think it's so important. People may want to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a phenomenal question as well. So when I started, I didn't start in the luxury market. I didn't start wanting to be in the luxury market or doing these big houses. I just wanted to work. Well, I've kind of went from just the past couple of years from 3 million production to 6 million to just under 13 million to last year was right at 30 million. So I've progressively jumped about 50% every single year. And I contribute that solely to consistent work. I didn't change a whole lot. I just got better at what I was doing. I think a big misconception, and honestly, this is my personal opinion, but a mistake, is a lot of agents that have been doing it 2-3 years, they automatically want to jump into luxury. And so I see a big downfall with that, because they start getting good at what they're doing. Well, there's a big difference between a mid-level process and a luxury process, just days on market, clientele, everything that goes along with it. Well, then if they start focusing on one thing like the luxury market and they have a dip, again, it's not what you do today that reflects 3, 6, 9 months from now. It is what you do today that reflects that long term. So if they start to take that dip, it's not like another industry. You can just make a quick buck and get right back up. So when people they don't set a process of where they want to be 5 years from now and kind of work slow steps to get there, where they think they can just make big changes in the industry. I don't personally think it can work like that, because it's progressive growth rather than quick growth. So right. I told myself, I set a goal of where I wanted to be, and I didn't want to make a whole lot of changes. And that's a tough decision, because there is a lot of shiny objects in this industry. There's a lot of opportunity in this industry to make those changes, to go somewhere better, to go somewhere where you get better promises, rather than just sticking to it, grinding it out, learning yourself and learning the business and growing. So I think that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am now, is not making drastic changes, but making small, minute changes at the things I wasn't very good at, but continuing to do the things I was good at, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And Travis, just to be clear, I want people to understand this. You did right at $30 million in 2020, but you are pretty much a one-man show. Is that not correct?
I have been. I just brought on a transaction coordinator this year, and I kicked myself in the you-know-where for not doing it sooner, because she has been amazing. But yes, I've been a one-man show up through the end of last year. So closing, I think I was at 70 or 72 transactions last year, all by myself. Got to be pretty tough.
Hence the caffeine.
Hence the caffeine.
Right. Travis is.
I think the point there is that it's doable.
Well, and throw in a new baby
Yeah,
too.
there's
Like,
always
that,
that.
yeah,
Right.
I mean,
That's why I have the transaction coordinator now.
So Travis, let me ask this. Is having that process that you talked about, that goal and the vision. I mean, as humans, we naturally have things that kind of bump us off track sometimes. We talked about the shiny objects. Every once in a while, it's just normal to kind of get distracted with a shiny object and maybe veer away from what our original and intentional goal is. How important is having those goals and having those defined outcomes that you want to have? How does that help you stay on track?
It's very important. I guess it's kind of hard to answer because I guess everybody's a little different depending on their financial situation, the backing that they have. A lot of realtors come in for the money, which typically means they don't have a lot of money. I mean, I know that was my case. I could barely pay my apartment rent when I got into this business. It was important to me because I knew what I wanted long term. And as I progressively grew, I did buy nicer things. I did treat myself to stuff, but that also meant that I had to afford those things. So putting my big boy pants on every day, it was no longer the aspect of not having responsibilities. So that continued to drove me to have to get better and better, and I could not veer off. And there was a time in my career that I did semi-veer off, and I saw how quickly it was going downhill. And I personally just made the decision right then and there that I was going to stick to what I was doing, because I quickly saw that taking this short-term opportunity was really going to derail me for my 3 to 5 year plan. And now I think it's super important to have those goals for long-term and have a vision of where you want to be. Where we talked about mindset earlier before the show came on, I'm a big mindset person, and everybody's brain works differently. I am not, and my broker and my mentors probably kill me for saying this, but I'm not a big consistent goal setter. I don't have the specific goal. Okay, I need to do this to get that, get this to do that. I'm more of a big picture thing with tiny steps. So I can say, okay, this month I want to do this. And then I say, okay, today I want to accomplish this. Today I want to accomplish this, rather than setting a 3 month, 6 month, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year. I know what my 5 year plan looks like in goal. And then I set very small stepping stones to get there each year.
Awesome.
Travis, what's that?
So I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely. Great answer.
I have a few different coaches. You might want to get this, Travis, because I'm definitely a goal setter. I think it's great, but to have one like in your face every day. Do you guys remember when you're like in grade school or whatever, and you had like you guys were raising money for something and they had the thermometer that they would color in? I'm literally getting one of those, put it on my window, and I'm just going to start coloring in, have my goals set. And so Travis, maybe we can be, thermometer bros, and we can check in every morning. Where's your thermometer at?
I would do it. I'm old school, which this was to take notes today, but I have a yellow old school piece of paper that I use, and I write down every single thing that I need to do for the day. And that's all the way down to eat lunch. If you talk to my wife, I'll forget to eat lunch because I'm just so in tune with everything that I need to get done for the day. Because if I know I don't get those done, my goal for the day wasn't done. So that's kind of the way my brain works. But yeah, I'm the same way. I write down every single thing that I need to do. I cross it off. There's just something about crossing off a task and moving on to the next one. But that keeps me in line with my processes, with my goals and my visions.
Travis, there's mine right there. I got
Love
the same
it.
thing.
Love it. Here's your sign.
Yeah.
Get a yellow legal pad and you will be successful. That's what we're finding out.
That's the difference. That's the difference, right?
The yellow legal pad. Oh, that is great. Len, I'm sure you got another question for these guys before we kind of wrap it up, but.
I do. I want to ask Shaun and Ken, because I've been around for a while, and Ken, you look awfully familiar. I know we've met somewhere, and I'm sure being in the industry so long. But one of the things you guys talked about was community, and how important community is. And in order to have that community, you've got to build great relationships. And so I would love to just you guys to talk a little bit more about that, about the importance of relationships. And I don't mean to stretch my question out. It's just sometimes as small business owners, real estate, we focus on the relationship with the client, but we neglect the relationship with our peers, with our business to business relationships. So talk about how important that is in the business model for Republic, and why you guys are so good at it.
Well, I mean, I think what was most recognizable for me in that role is, Collin County is a huge area. It covers a vast amount of people. And one of the things that I had a rep in one of our Plano offices come up to me, and she goes, I don't know half the other salespeople in our offices. Everybody's we had a little bit of turnover, or we have added to some of the offices. And I said, yeah, that's not okay. We need to figure something out. So we started instituting these little monthly get-togethers so that we could develop our own community. And then we obviously, use social media. And during the pandemic, even I kind of told everybody, I said, here's the book that I want everybody to get. It was From Grit to Great. It's a very simple read. Everybody, let's read it once a week. We're going to get on Zoom. We're going to talk about things. And it always ended up being this much about the book and this much about everybody's life and what was going on and happening. And that's what I wanted it to be. And, we continue to grow and grow and grow on that. And now I feel like we've got a really good synergy across the area to continue to promote that. And at the end of the day, I am a personal firm believer, and I know Ken shares this sentiment. If we have passion for what we do and who we do it with every day, then we will be successful. And the people we want to work with will see that and want to work with us as well. Would you agree?
I couldn't agree more. So I think, real estate and all of the components that touch real estate, title, lending, even a real estate transaction, you rely on your community. When I was a practicing agent, my philosophy was we all have to get this across the finish line. Me as the agent, my escrow team, my lender, we all have to. So community is so important, I think, in every industry, but especially in this industry. And I heard it once. It was a gentleman from Chick-fil-A was speaking. And he said, we're in the people business. We just happen to serve chicken sandwiches. And I've kind of taken that because we're all in the people business.
Yes.
We just happen to do escrow. Travis happens to do real estate. We're people driven first. I've just, since I was a kid, I naturally curious. I will ask somebody questions until they stop answering me because I want to know. Right, Jordan? Jordan and I met at a meeting not too long ago. Shaun was a couple minutes late, and I was like interviewing him. And he was telling me everything. But now I know him at a level maybe most people don't. And I appreciate that because that develops a human bond. You know what I mean? When you're communicating with somebody and you're finding the commonality. Shaun always laughs at me because I'll start talking to somebody and it'll always end back to Illinois. That's where I'm from. And they'll go, oh, I'm from Illinois. And I'm like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Orland Park. I'm like, I grew up 40 minutes from you. We know the same people. Do you know what I mean? But if you don't engage, you will never know. And those the commonality, those things that connect us will connect us forever. So, but you have to be a good member of community. That's the whole thing about a community. You have to be a good member of community.
And that's why we saw such a value in Real Producers is the community that Real Producers has put together in our area makes total sense to me. This is not about the parties or the glitz and the glam of all the things that look fun.
It's not?
Yeah. Although that is a great part of it, don't get me wrong, but it's the opportunity to be able to get into relationship with these people that are the best at what they do. And so that we can continue to be best at what we do. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do.
And again, it's like Jordan said, we met Jordan 3 years ago. We've done our best to foster that relationship over the last, just touching base every once in a while. And, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's long-term vision. And that's what Ken and I, you and I were talking about that before Shaun got there. And I said, that's one thing that I appreciate about you. And I was asking you too, like, do other escrow officers, for example, like, do they inquire? Do they ask like questions, to the agent that they're meeting with, or does it get to be like a sales pitch? Cause I was telling you guys, everyone's like, oh, like the real estate agents love you, Jordan and Rochelle. And it's because I think a big part of it is because, for one, we sit down with these agents and we're like, for literally 20, 30 minutes, we're like, tell me your story. And we just talk about them and we get to learn about them, and people's number one topic, is themselves. And you do a great job of that, Ken. I think that's a huge, I think that's not to be understated, because I think that's huge.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So, I think that you just spend the time with the people, the more you can glean from them. It's kind of what life is all about, is connecting with people, finding that commonality, being empathetic. So we don't always, I don't think a lot of business development people maybe approach it like I approach it. I will see a new agent that I see great potential with. And we've developed, especially for Drew, we've kind of developed a business model for him. We can identify, the agent that will fit with him, and we kind of go for there. But I'll sit down with a brand new agent and we'll have lunch, because I think that's the most important thing you can do, is sit down and share a meal with somebody to connect with them. Look at all through history. That's how people come together, is over food. So we do that. And then a lot of other business development people won't take the time with a brand new agent. Mm-hmm. But when you start doing $8 to $10 million a year, your phone's going to be burning up. But I just I want you to remember who brought you to the dance. I want you to remember who reached out to you. Do you know what I mean? When you were a new up and coming agent, who helped you get the education you needed? Who helped you get the materials that you needed? Who pointed you in the right direction? So that's the way I look at this. It's more of a shepherding or fostering, if you will. And I love that. I love people. So it makes it really, really, really easy for me to do my job.
And you have to have a long-term vision if that's your approach, right? It can't, I think people get so stuck on, they have to meet, right now, need the deal now. And it's like,
well, nothing against the millennial generation, because
watch yourself here.
In case you haven't figured it out, I am not part of that. But
and I have options.
What's that?
I have options. Be careful with your next statement.
Okay, no. But so here's my point, being the old man just close to telling people to get off my lawn. People, we live in a society of instant gratification. Everything is instant. So, and I hear this from a lot of our reps. Well, I called them 5 times. Well, you don't stop at 5 times, because what if it's the 6th? You don't call it 12 times. Jordan, you shared the story when we met about you were 0-40. We were one of your O's in that run, but you didn't give up. Do you know what I mean? So you do it until you get the results that you desire. So, but I just see a lot of the younger generation. I'm sorry. I know that makes me sound like a dinosaur, but they want to give up too easily. And it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, especially what we do. This is a long-term relationship that we're building.
Well, Ken, when you talk about that, it's really not their fault. They've been conditioned to follow that. That's culture. And we have gotten into the point where we're more transactional than we are relational. And, we've had discussions before where you can generate revenue being transactional,
100%.
but you can accumulate wealth by being relational.
Right.
And I think that's
you're not going to have longevity if you're transactional.
Right.
You're going to have longevity if you're. So I know an agent that had a lot of reload business when Toyota came to town, and he was burning and churning, and then all of a sudden it dried up. Well, he never thought to reach back to one of those 150 some people that he got through reload. And so he became a transactional agent, got the quick fix, got the money in the bank. And then he's sitting there wondering where his business went.
Yeah,
right.
If he would have maintained and developed relationships with those people. That's why I look at a lot of the new agents that are doing leasing. And a lot of older experienced agents say, I'm not going to do lease. But if you want to build a business, start with leasing because, hey, they've got a mom and a dad. They've got friends. When this lease is up and they're making more money, they got to buy a house.
Yep.
Who are they going to come back to? The person that took care of them. It kind of goes back to the new agent. The person that took care of them when they didn't have much going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. I love that. Yeah.
If I have time, if I have 15 seconds,
Yeah. I like
something Ken said about who fits best with you. I think it's important to any new agents that's watching this or maybe will be, it is important who you fit with, because escrow becomes that relationship like a family that we don't always have a typical conversation, and you need to be able to open yourself, express, pick up that phone and tell them how you feel and figure things out. So it truly is important to fit in with who you're working with, not just escrow wise, but company wise. So y'all do a phenomenal job of, in all aspects of the industry, allowing agents to be themselves.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Man, I love it. I love chatting with you guys. This was a fantastic show. Just such great people I have so much respect for. And so before we hop off, guys, I'm gonna have each of you just if we'll start with Travis. If there's an agent listening or a family looking for a realtor or just someone to connect with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Trav?
My cell phone is one of the easiest. Shoot me a text, call 469-525-0175. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram. I believe Lyndon put that at the bottom there. I tell people, any way you can find me, I'm going to answer. So just reach out and I'll be there.
I love that. And Shaun and Ken, how about you guys? If people are interested, if there's an agent that's listening that is maybe looking to make a change or considering a change, or just maybe someone looking for a job, how should they connect with you guys?
Text or call. Honestly, we have our phones. It's our third arm. It's attachment of our body, unfortunately. But that's what we're here to do. I tell everybody we're like doctors. We're always on call, just not nearly as important. So.
Yeah, well, we know that real estate isn't a 9-to-5 job, so we're available 24/7. So I work out of our Frisco office here on Preston Road between Wade and Stonebrook. My number is 214-793-5979. I would love to sit down and talk to any agent that's considering either moving their business or new in the business.
And message us on Facebook too, or
Facebook.
Instagram, any medium out there we are a part of. You can get a hold of us. Like I said, we are very responsive, and my wife hates that about me, but it's my business, so we take it seriously.
I'm the same way, man. Everything's business. On Facebook, it's business, but it's also personal, And so, guys, we need to get together, all of us, sometime. Let's get some ranch waters. Let's go maybe play some golf. That'd be a lot of fun. So, man, I want to thank you guys for hopping on. This was super fun. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I want to thank Lyndon too for putting this show together and having this platform. If there's a business out there or an agent out there that is looking for unique and creative ways to get more exposure, and there's so much, I always mention, there's so much value that you can do with these shows if you set it up the right way. And so, Lyndon, man, thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Jordan. I love working with you, man. I love working with everybody at Real Producers, and it's exciting to me to meet people like Shaun, Ken, and Travis, and can't wait for the next one.
Absolutely, guys. Well, hey, appreciate you all. Next week, same time, Rochelle will be on with another partner, another Rockstar agent. And so we'll see you guys then. Have a great day.
Thank you, man.